Hello, chefs. Good morning. We are back again. I'm Isaiah, the young Jedi chef, here with the Dragon Warrior chef, German Lamb, and the Phoenix Warrior chef, Noreen. We will be your host for today's podcast. You are listening to a unique podcast where we will discuss tough yet real topics that need to be heard in the industry. In this podcast, you will hear the truth real, raw, and unfiltered. Today, we have the honor of having Chef Hara with us to talk about her journey as a young chef. I'm excited to get started and jump right in. So without a further ado, I'll let the star of our show, our guest, Chef Hara, introduce herself. Chef.
Hi, I'm Shapara. I'm currently based in Houston, Texas, and I am the R&D chef for a restaurant group called Eight Air Concepts here in Houston. I started off, honestly, in the hospitality industry, not knowing what I wanted to do. I worked front desk and accounting and did a bunch of things that are really far from being a chef. And cooking was just something that I truly enjoyed doing um, in my personal time. And then when I was in my late 20s, I kind of, I guess COVID happened, and that's when everybody just rethought about everything about their lives and about where they're at. And that's what I did. And I realized that cooking is the journey that I wanted to take. So at 27, I decided to just pick up and move my whole life to New York and pursue a culinary career. And I went to the best culinary school in the country. And from then, I've just been able to uh, really express myself in every best way possible, creatively, personally, and honestly, it was the best decision I could have ever done. And now I'm here.
Oh, awesome, Chef. Well, we're so excited to have you. Thank you for being here. You have a great story to tell, so it's gonna be amazing. Thank you so much. So,
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
of course, definitely. So, as humans, we all have a vision of who we want to become, who we want to be remembered by, and the people that we want to surround ourselves with. This is unique for every individual. However, each story is important and should be heard. You never know how your story could impact someone's life. At times, when we may get discouraged, it is important to go back to that vision and remember what sparked the fire inside of us. This will lead us to our first question. When you were first starting out, did you imagine your career looking like how it is now?
Um, yes and no. I think I had an unrealistic vision of what I wanted my chef career to be like. And I
Mhm.
think everybody has that, you dream of doing something and it ends up coming to fruition and you're like, wait, I thought this was unattainable. So that's what happened with me. I had this goal of just wanting to test recipes and enjoy food and travel the world. And a small part of me on the inside always doubted that, and I always just felt like that was not something that I could achieve. Not because I couldn't personally achieve it, but just because that's stuff you only see on TV, or you only see like big name chefs doing that who have a million restaurants and all these crazy ideas. And it's hard to kind of connect yourself with that type of life inside of your mind. And so I would say that I just daydreamed about this life. And now, maybe 6 or 7 years later, I'm living it. And I've been able to travel and I've been able to experience food from around the world and experience the type of restaurants that I've wanted to, and really truly work my dream job.
Wow. Yeah, that's moving. And I think it all starts in your mind. If you tell yourself you could do something, you can make it happen. You just got to believe and not give up when times get tough. Like if you push
Exactly.
through and you have that vision to start with, you're gonna make your dreams come true. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chef. Noreen, Chef Lamb, what's your take?
I think there's a lot of truth in that. You spend time daydreaming. I think like I had thought about being a chef since I was very young. I picked up cooking personally when I was really, really young and never really thought it would be something I could bring to fruition. And COVID was the same. I sat and reflected a lot. Everything was changing. You know, a lot of people, we lost our jobs and a lot of things were going on. And you ask yourself, is this really where I want to be? And you take a big risk, you take a big jump, and it is freeing in a way to think like, oh, little 8-year-old me would be very proud. So I have to agree with that. You know, we dream a lot, and there is a lot of reality in how tough the industry can be. It's a tough job. It's very physical. You learn a lot though, which is great. And keeping eyes open, like Chef Lamb always says, eyes open, ears open, heart open will take you very far. And just learning along the journey is really what is impactful. It's not about the destination. It's everything that you learn along the way.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. And you're gonna have those times where it's gonna be tough, you're gonna feel like you wanna, give up. But just remembering why you started is one of the most important parts to it, really. So thank you so much for that, Noreen. Chef Lamb.
Oh, I love this question because I'm looking at three young professionals who the world is ready to know their names. And my journey, just think of it, it's half, So it's like it's been there, right? So executive chef, executive sous chef, chef de cuisine, banquet chef, garde chef, saucier, cook, Lions Den employee cafeteria cook, McDonald's making shakes and fries for you. And I look at it, and when you just asked the question, is not envision, it's about far as the good, bad, and ugly. And the bad and ugly, COVID came in, right? And to this day, people still believe that it never happened. It was a myth, you know what I mean? Someone wanted to destroy the world and business and people, take people away from families and from communities. And I go, you know what? Cooking is very powerful, right? Because I said to someone, you could steal my recipe, you could steal my words, but you can't steal my empathy and love to turn that person into an icon. So I came up with that. I was like, damn, man, that's sweet. That is powerful. Because what do you want to steal? My money? Go ahead. I don't have any, I'm penniless, you know? So it's giving you far as, the great thing about being young, you're able to keep getting back on your feet each time someone knocks you down, someone knocks you down, someone knocks you down, someone pushes you over, or better yet, someone sabotages you. However, but that's the game. That is the beautiful game of life. And here's the thing, you guys are mentees right now. Now the question is, are you going to meet the right mentors? That's the question you should be asking. All the other rest, it comes.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree. It's about meeting the right mentors too. It's kind of about who you surround yourself with, who you choose to, really learn from, and it determines how you're going to grow and determines, your final outcome. So thank you so much for that, Chef. So although all of us may have a strong vision and may be extremely motivated, sometimes we could become discouraged and kind of push to the breaking point. So it's important to recognize these moments and not give up. So this next part of the podcast is my favorite part, story time. So have you ever faced moments of self-doubt or imposter syndrome in the kitchen? And then how do you push through it? Chef Hara, you want to start us?
Honestly, every day. I think it comes with the territory because there's always going to be, somebody who you kind of have to prove yourself a little extra to. Or there's always going to be somebody that's a little bit better than you, and you kind of get in your own head and you think, oh, I need to do more, or I'm not good enough. Or I think the biggest time that where I felt like I dealt with imposter syndrome is my current position, because for so long I really didn't think that I was gonna be able to get a position like this. And um, beginning starting it, I was like, am I really here? Like inside of my head, I'm like, is this actually what I'm doing? I'm not good. Am I good enough to do this position? But I just kind of have to tell myself that those are just internal thoughts and those are not reality. I am here. I worked really hard to get to where I'm at today, and my experience is what brought me here today. So don't listen to your negative thoughts every single day. They're there, and they're there to humble you, and not make you feel like, or for you to not walk around thinking that you're better than everyone else. But they're not there to completely control your mindset on doubting yourself, whether you can do this position or not.
Yeah, I love that mindset because I feel like a lot of times people, have those self-doubts, and that stops them from even trying,
Yeah,
And I think if you don't even try, you'll miss 100% of your shots, If you go for
absolutely.
it and if you just do it and you don't get it, it doesn't work out the first time. Okay, now you know what to do next time. Now you know how to be better. And there's a lot of things in life that I went for. I didn't think I was even gonna have a chance at getting, and I ended up getting it. So it's one of those things where you don't necessarily have to be the most qualified in the room, but as long as you're driven and you're willing to learn and you really have that heart and that passion to want to do it, it'll work out. So thank you for that perspective, Chef. Noreen, Chef Lamb.
No, absolutely. I think there's a lot of truth to every day because that's what I thought of. I was like, yeah, there's a little bit of self-doubt every day, still being new to the industry. But I think my previous healthcare experience, especially, has taught me you push that aside, because confidence is important. I worked really hard. I spent a lot of time in education. I took the time to learn when I was in school, took the time to learn when I was an intern. I take the time to learn every day. So, yeah, there are moments where people they're coming up and they're asking me questions. Oh, I broke this sauce. How do I fix it? Or this turned out too thick, or I don't know where this is in the kitchen, or, how are we going to pick this up? And I'm like looking around, you're asking me, I've only been here a year, but there's a lot to be said that there's trust like in your kitchen, and people put you up in these positions because they believe you can do it. So why do we tell ourselves that we can't do it? I think it's like what Chef Howard has said, like it's just about your own perspective and keeping that, you don't want your ego to be too inflated because we're still learning every day, especially as young chefs. But it's really about turning that around instead of it being, oh my gosh, am I really here? And changing it to, yeah, oh my gosh, I am here. This is what I wanted, and we're going to do it. And today's going to be great.
Mhm.
And you find that imposter feeling kind of fades away.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that, Chef, and I love how you said like, yeah, I'm here and I already, kind of made it, and still being humble, because a lot of times you're in that position, and like you said, Chef, you don't believe that you're in it, like but you made it, so you just got to push through, and regardless of what people are saying, just know that you could do it and you have the ability to do so. So thank you for that, Chef Lamb.
Oh, I love this question right here because I'm going to give you a tip. Cooking is the easiest thing. Don't sweat on it because the more you fuck up, the better it is. Because now you're going to see who is going to teach me the correct way of making this hollandaise, making a scrambled egg, cooking this medium rare, making this beautiful ratatouille. So in one way, we don't have enough time because today is Chef Hara's day, because I could give you a chapter of all the mishap. And I was like, and I look back at him like, I love it, right? Because to make a mistake every second of the day over and over, you have to have confidence.
Yeah, no, you're right. You gotta have that confidence. And I think you can't be afraid to fail. A lot of people don't try because they're afraid that they'll mess up or they'll fail. But that's the best way to learn, from your failures. If you're not failing, you're not trying. So thank you so much for that, Chef. So a lot of people don't know kind of firsthand like what it takes to become like a great chef, a great hospitality professional. They don't see the ins and outs of our everyday lives. So like a lot really goes into like even one dish, hours, days, weeks of planning, of creating different stuff like that. So what is something about being a young chef that you wish people outside of the kitchen would understand a little bit better, Chef Hara?
Um, that's actually a really good question. I feel like we deal with this with our family members, with our friends, like they just don't understand our lifestyle. We put in a lot into our work, and we get very personal with our food and our recipes, and we kind of connect with them in a way that normal people don't. And so something that I just wish people outside of the kitchen understood better uh, is that, we're, how can I word this? We're sensitive, but we're also like really hard on ourselves. And so I would just like for people to be a little bit more patient and understanding of our time. A lot of times, family members or friends, wonder like, how come we're not spending enough time with you, or you're always at work, or you're always doing this, and it's part of the lifestyle. Um, and the time that we do get to spend with them, we cherish, and we really, really like want to, I'm losing my words. Sorry, guys. We really want to kind of spend every minute with them that we can. But when we're working, and it's just not something that I feel like everyday people understand how connected and how attached we are to our work.
Yeah, no, I gotta agree with you so much on that. And even like I started at 15 in the kitchen, I've always had two jobs, went to school, worked, and I was always out and about. And my family didn't understand that. Every time I walked in the door, I felt like an alien. They're looking at me crazy, like, I never see you, this, that. But it's kind of one of those things where unless you're in the position, unless you're actually in the industry, you don't understand how it is. You got to really have that dedication and really have that that passion for it, and it requires a lot of hours, a lot of time, a lot of parties missed, a lot of family
Yeah.
time, a lot of this missed, and sometimes it could get to you, but at the end of the day, it'll pay off in the end. You just gotta be able to have people that will understand that. So yeah, thank you so much for that, Chef Noreen, Chef Lamb.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the lifestyle, like the hours, is really hard for people to understand. And I think a lot of it goes back to the reason why we're here. Like there is camaraderie in the kitchen. There is like that deep personal connection to the food that you're making, the strive for excellence. And I think a lot of people don't understand it. Especially, for example, in my circle, right? I have a lot of family and friends that are in healthcare, and they're like, well, you're not saving lives or anything. So why is it that you have to be there until 2 in the morning? Like, I don't understand. And it's because I want to be there. I really love my job. And I think that's a big thing, is like not everyone understands this pull that we have. Like, I love my job. Not a lot of people can say that. And so they don't get why I take weekends and holidays. Like, those are the times we're busy. And it's almost a pleasure, right? It's an honor to serve families and guests and people on their weddings, on their birthdays, celebrating special milestones in their life, celebrating holidays with their family. So that is an honor in and of itself. And I think not everyone can get that. That just comes with hospitality. And it's really incredible to meet people that are like-minded in the industry. But it kind of creates a bubble, because sometimes people outside of that hospitality wing don't really get why you're so drawn to it. But that's just the role and the position I'm meant to have in this world. Everyone has their own role that they fulfill, but it's one of my favorite things, but it makes it hard, the passion, because not everyone has that for their career, for their life. So
No, I love that, Noreen. I love that, kind of how you said that's, what you're meant to do and meant to be. And like you said, a lot of people don't see it from that perspective. They see that you're not there for them for their holidays. They see that you're not, when everybody else is gathered around the table, you're in the kitchen cooking for other people so they could have those special moments. But that's why we do this, and that's why we love what we do, because we could see, how it makes people feel, and that makes us feel better. So thank you so much for that, Noreen. Chef Lamb.
Well, you're bringing back memories, and one thing I could say when I started my journey that I was blessed and I was lucky because my journey started working at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Boston. And to me, when you leave that world, no one could compare with it at all. People, the resource, the name, opportunities, international. And it taught me about, it's a lifestyle, but not everyone is ready or capable or willing to work for the Ritz. And to me, that's something that I learned about hospitality, right? Because when you do work for a brand, it pretty much educates you, it develops you, it teaches you about what community, what five-star guest customer service is, and what perfection is. Because in one way, you're like an Olympian. Every day, we're striving for gold medal. We're not striving for silver. We're not striving for bronze. The silvers and bronze, those are different tiers. There's nothing wrong with them. They're great. But in this environment culture, I learned, mental stress, addiction, breaking families, divorce, and I saw it all and I go like, wow, So in one way now in my journey, I says, I have the solution for that.
Yeah.
But are you lucky to meet me to suddenly say, here it is, baby, 1, 2, 3, So, looking at it, I go, you're the storyteller and you have to remember that, you're the CEO, you're the president of this beautiful journey. Act like it, talk like it, and watch how everything that you just talked about, it just goes away. It does not affect you at all. So
yeah, for sure. No, you definitely gotta, like you said, be the CEO of your own journey and kind of, guide your career in that way. So thank you so much for that, Chef. So I believe that guiding and teaching the next generation to be better than us is one of the most selfless things that someone could do. So when we help each other out, the world becomes stronger and a better place. So if you could change one thing about how the industry treats young chefs, what would it be, Chef Shapara?
Just one thing.
Anything, whatever. It could be multiple. Yeah, let loose.
I feel like young chefs get treated the worst. And I think there is this idea of needing to go through the abuse, the yelling, the screaming, to become a great chef. I 100% disagree with that. I never have agreed with it. And I still to this day, I would never carry myself like that as a head chef, as an executive chef. I would never treat someone that way. And I never want to be treated that way. And I think that is the biggest thing for me is me coming into this industry. That was my one boundary. And if I ever had to deal with a chef like that, I chose to walk away and pursue something else or work at a different restaurant. But luckily, me setting that boundary within myself, I never had to deal with it. I maybe dealt with it one time where it was really bad, and I again just peacefully walked the other way because I knew it wasn't for me. But I just wish that young chefs specifically let go of that thought process, because I feel like even chefs who are coming into this industry believe that they have to go through that. And I don't think that that's true. Going through negativity and abuse in the workplace doesn't make you stronger. It's just going to make you think worse of yourself throughout your career. There's nothing wrong with uplifting people and training people and showing them the right way to do it in a peaceful and kindly and respectful way. And I hope that, chefs that are older, that are that have a lot more experience let go of that as well and begin to kind of be mentors to young chefs rather than their crazy boss.
Yeah, no, I love that perspective because I feel the same thing. I've been there so many times. I've been cursed out in the kitchen, yelled at, screamed at, all that stuff, and that's just, we think of that as that's just the life. That's just how it is. That's if you want to be great, that's how what it takes. You know what I mean? But I think trying to shift that mindset and that culture is really the goal because that's not the way to get better. You get yelled at, then things become frantic, and then it's not the way you want to be treated in the kitchen, and it's not an environment you really want to be in. It's super toxic. So I
Yeah.
think switching that kitchen culture is super important. I think as young chefs, we have the power to do that, because we're up and coming. So now we know how we don't want to be treated, and we could lead differently. So thank you so much for that, Chef Hara. Noreen?
Chef Howard, your account made me think about burnout. And that's like a big thing, I think, in the industry just in general. So when we're talking about how the industry treats young chefs, all of that toxic behavior, uh, on top of that, I think also training. Like there is this kind of low, quiet competitiveness that pushes young people into these positions. Here's a position, you figure it out. You want to be a sous chef, figure it out. And it's like you have this person who's super young, who's still learning. They're still learning how to manage people. They're still learning how to work in a big corporate team or an executive team. It's not the same as just cooking. Like Chef Lamb said, cooking is the easy part. It's everything else that is a challenge. And I think we're telling these young people, oh, you want to be big and mighty? Go be big and mighty, figure it out, and I'll be here when you crash and burn. And that quietness that I see in the industry that happens, I also feel like it needs to stop. If you want to see someone rise up, we rise up as a team. We help each other, we mentor each other, we train each other. And that's not just in the line, it's not just in prep, but that also comes to executive management. And I think it's why the industry may have a lot of poor managers that yell and scream. And instead of just pulling someone aside, hey, this was kind of stupid, but that's okay. This is how we're going to fix it. I'll be here with you. You have a question, I'm here. You can still be tough, but train and teach. And I think a lot of people think it's one or the other. So I just wish there was a little bit more compassion for teaching young chefs and seeing them as, we're going to be the torchbearers of the future of the culinary industry. So instead of treating us like annoying rats that are around you, perhaps, help us take the torch, pass it along.
I love that, Norian. And I like how you said, it's kind of all about teaching and showing people how it's done as well. Because a lot of chefs or a lot of people in general, they'll get mad because you don't know how to do something because you take a little more time to learn. But if you just take that time to guide them and coach them and show them how it's properly supposed to be done, they'll respect you more even, you know what I mean? So I think really doing that, it kind of motivates people and it makes them want to be there as opposed to feeling like they're not worthy or not capable or shouldn't be there. And I even had a chef tell me one time, he was like, don't waste my time, what I mean? It's kind of like it's demeaning. So it's good to, have a different perspective and a different point of view on that. So thank you so much, Noreen, for that. Chef Lamb?
Oh, I love this question. Old school, new school, now you have hybrid. And you need old school and you need new school. But this is where you come in, where, Chef Noreen said, when I started my journey, the four things I had: open eyes, open mouth, open ears, open heart. Every second of the day, when there's an incident, if you had all four of these completely open, you will have the right solution to that individual that is, placing you or making you feel uncomfortable. But when you don't, that's where the problem have, and it builds up like a pressure cooker. You know what I mean? So to me, I work with chef, and I go, damn, it's pretty sad that you're an amazing chef, you know how to cook, you know how to do this, but you really don't know what love is because no one mentored you. They mentor your cooking ability, but on the other side, the soft skill, that's pretty pathetic, man. So I look at it that way, and to me, it's like you got to laugh it. And if you did express that to that individual, that person will cry and go, "Thank you, thank you." You know, he would, because we all have a pressure cooker that we all have been harassed, been bullied, been verbal. But the question is, are you willing to take on that challenge? Because you got to remember, to be a leader, you have to be able to lead all genders, all cultures, all languages around the world. And that is an art.
No, I love that, chef. And I like how you said it all starts with like having that love. If you don't have that love for what you do, if you don't have that love for people, you're empty. It's empty. You know, you could have the best food in the world, but if you don't have that extra aspect of love, there's no point. So yeah, thank you so much for that, chef. So kind of finishing thoughts here. What is one last piece of advice that you would give to someone that is trying to start their journey as a young chef, Chef Hara?
Have fun, do all the crazy things, don't limit yourself, and just be true to yourself and who you are as a chef, as a person, and don't let anyone talk to you in a negative way. Don't let anybody scream at you. Hold yourself high, hold your head up high, and carry yourself with the utmost confidence without being cocky.
I love that, chef. Thank you so much, Noreen.
I love that. I would like to say taste everything. Taste what you're cooking, taste things at your friend's house, taste things at restaurants. If you're able to travel, travel. If not, regardless if you can travel or not, something my chef says all the time is do your homework. So research different types of cuisines, regional cuisines, traditional ingredients, and learn the history of them, how they were used, how they're used now. You know, you can always build upon your repertoire of knowledge. And you can do that by traveling and tasting. And you can also do that with documentaries, with books. Videos on YouTube are free. Lots of traditional chefs there showing you traditional techniques. I think that's a great place to start. There's so much information online, so we can take advantage of that. Go out and taste, but also take the time to learn the history and the culture of the food that we're experiencing.
Yeah, I love that, Noreen. You never stop learning, and the moment you stop learning is the moment you got to switch it up. So every day you learn something new. So thank you so much, Noreen. Chef Lamb.
Well, you know what? We love planting seeds. And this seed, I would say, body, mind, spirit, and food. Once that happens, once that's all connected, once that is clean and pure and wholesome, you know what happens? Your Bruce Lee switch turns on, man. And when that turns on, it's all about party. Let's go. That's it.
I love it, chef. Yeah, if you have your mind right, your body right, and everything else, everything will line up. So thank you so much for that, chef. Chef Hara, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor of having you here. We love your storytelling, your great advice. Thank you so much. And we know that this call will not only impact those listening, but also impact those connected to them. So here on this call, we have made history and we have helped lead the way to the future. So thank you so much and see you guys on the next call.